I'll become doctor, I will become engineer, I will become politician, I will become head of state, I will be this and that. First thing happened, that the dream of my people got shattered. First. Second thing that happened, it was the trust. People of Afghanistan filled with their heart and with their skin how they can be abandoned overnight and be forgotten and be handed over to the same enemy that we have been fighting for 20 years together. The third thing that the world didn't witness was the catastrophic and terrifying terrors that Taliban did to the people. Girls went on the street, they brutally destroyed it, they threw them in jail, they raped them, they defamed them, and they destroyed something that even the communists, even the Russians didn't do such atrocity. But on the other hand, another thing happened. Some people didn't give up. Some people didn't care if they were alone. They fought. Even if they were little, if they had nothing, they fought with their heart, with their soul. And still to this day they are fighting. Women on the street, even they were being thrown to jails, they continued protesting and standing. To this day they are doing. And there were some guys, former Afghan army, special forces, and regular citizens. They went to the mountains. They didn't care if no longer there is a friend supporting them from the air or on the ground. They were with themselves, but they stood for the values that the world left them and abandoned those values. They fought, and to this day they are fighting all alone. So these four things happened when the cameras left, when the attentions left. But the people of Afghanistan, with all those terrors, is still very much hopeful, is still very much passionate to take back their country, and they're fighting.
How did the government take over? What was that process like when it comes to the Ministry of Defense, the NDS, the Afghan version of the CIA, the president? I mean, how did that process look when Taliban was taking over all these different sectors of the Afghanistan government? Were those individuals assassinated?
No. Unfortunately, one thing which was one of those signs which indicates the fall of Afghanistan was the poor leadership in Kabul. Mr. Ashraf Ghani created a situation that was impossible to rally around him and to rally around the government and to do something. Because we did. Way before the collapse of Kabul, I rallied my people. I went to different provinces. I spoke to many people. They were ready to do something. And we passed this message to Mr. Ghani, and we passed this message to the government, that we don't want Afghanistan to fall. They just didn't listen. They didn't care. So this is another aspect that absolutely, I believe that our international friends must take responsibility for the catastrophe that happened in Afghanistan. At the same time, I blame us the most, the Afghan government, the politicians, and the leaders, that they didn't have the foresight of Ahmad Shah Massoud and the former leaders, that they knew something that happened, they prepared. They didn't have that foresight. They were very short-sighted, that they didn't prepare, they didn't unite, and they didn't resist. So what happened? The president fled the country. As soon as he fled the country, everything collapsed. I was in Kabul. Everything collapsed with it, and unfortunately, with that, the Taliban managed to get inside the city with almost no resistance inside the Kabul. Another aspect was that if there was a resistance happening in Kabul, probably it would be even successful, but with the cost of thousands and thousands and thousands of people of Kabul. So when the leadership didn't have a plan, when he left and ran away before anyone else, I was in Kabul. And I witnessed everything firsthand myself. When he left the night before and didn't even told his companion and his colleagues, even his chief of staff. He told his chief of staff, go and prepare a meeting for me. He lied to him and he ran away in another helicopter. So in such chaos, the collapse happened very quickly and there was almost no resistance because Mr. Ghani, with his policies, lost the legitimacy and the support of the people. And with people like me, that we wanted to stick to the values of the Republic and to keep the Afghanistan as a whole, he was very much against such idea too. He was a very egocentric person.
How fast did this spread outside of Kabul?
Kabul was the second last, the last place that fell to the hand of Taliban was Panjshir. Before that, it was Kabul. Kabul, I was there, and Kabul fell on the 15th of August to the hand of the Taliban. Yeah. And the other areas, it was very rapid because 3 months before the collapse of Kabul, the Taliban didn't have control of even one district. 3 months prior to the fall. As soon as this withdrawal, this unconditional withdrawal, with this negotiation and talks, it improved. The soldiers got very demoralized, and the policy of the government and Mr. Ghani, it was it was non-existent basically. As I mentioned, that Afghanistan didn't have a military doctrine. The leadership didn't have a military doctrine. And with such things, very rapidly, the demoralization occurred and collapse happened.
How much of the country is now controlled by Taliban?
The Taliban are in control of the main cities and provinces and even central districts. However, it is impossible for any country or any government to control the whole geography because it's a very mountainous area. It is impossible to do so. So right now, the Taliban are in control of most of the districts and provinces as we are speaking.
Okay. And what province are you from?
I'm from Panjshir myself, and the resistance is happening. It was started in Panjshir, but now it is in the 12 provinces across the north and northeast of Afghanistan.